you're on your page 32, I think it is. It says adding and subtracting whole numbers and decimals. I was one page off. Your page 32, adding and subtracting whole numbers and decimals. Okay? Today, we're going to add, and then after we get good at adding, we're going to subtract. The process is really the same, so it's not a huge deal. Okay? So, adding and subtracting decimals. Notice I have them listed in step 1, step 2, yada, 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 because, like I've been telling you already, if you do them in the order that I tell you, then you should be doing okay. You know, unless you make a different mistake, you should be doing all right. So you're going to do this, whatever this is, underneath that box, you're going to do it first, and you're going to make sure you do it. Notice it says very important, so circle it with your pencil. Whatever, you have to do this first before you do anything else. Super important. And that is, line up your numbers vertically, up and down, by the decimal points. Line them up by the decimal points, which we've been doing when we've been doing comparing and ordering. We've done that already, so this shouldn't be a new jump for you. You line them up vertically. We don't add and subtract sideways, unless it's a fact. You do it vertically. And you do it by the decimal point. Okay, just a reminder, notes can be either print or cursive, doesn't matter. It needs to be whatever you can write quickly and read it later. Okay, because that's the most important thing. I'm not concerned about cursive, not cursive in your notes. That's up to you. But it has to be what you can write the fastest and still read it later. Okay? Step 2. Whoops, what'd I do? Oh, I know what I did. Step 2. Write zeros so that all decimals have the same number of digits to the right of the decimal point. And again, we did this when we were comparing. Another word for writing the zeros on the end is annexing zeros.
How come the boxes have a line through?
So you had two lines to write on. At least that's my goal.
Yeah.
So like, if you had 3.4 and 20 or 12.67, we line them up by our decimal, then you would annex a zero so they are the same length. Okay? It's especially important that you do this because when we do subtraction, you're going to need zeros to borrow with. And if you forget, you could be making a mistake. So it's extremely important that you annex those zeros to the right. To the left, that's up to you. You guys know how to add it this way anyway, so that's up to you. If it makes you feel better to do this, that's fine. Okay, there's no reason why it can't. One way or the other. Okay? Now this is only for adding and subtracting, by the way, not multiplying and dividing decimals. It's going to be a whole different process. Okay, it's only adding and subtracting. Yep, you're going to have to kind of squeeze in there. I know these are a little small. I need to tweak these notes a bit. All right, step 3, add or subtract normally. At this point, you are ignoring your decimal. Just ignore it. We'll deal with it when we get done. Add or subtract normally. And then step 4, bring the decimal point straight down into the answer. Mrs. Wiggins, who used to teach 5th grade here, used to say, drop it like a rock, or drop it like a stone. Have it come straight down. Okay, it's different for multiplying and dividing. But for adding and subtracting, that decimal point comes straight down. So you bring the decimal point straight down into the answer. So I want you to go to the top of the next page. In the box, it says, solve using the standard algorithm. Underline those, or put a box around that word, standard algorithm. And then I want you to write equals normal way. Standard algorithm is the fancy-dancy word for do it the normal way. No pictures, no place value charts, no counters, no weird back and forth, no nothing. Standard algorithm means the normal way. Okay, so don't let those words scare you. That's just, they want you to do it normally, the way you were taught. Okay, because we could do this with, we could even do it with the little hundreds grids and the place value charts and all that. We could. This is not what they want. Okay, so, question A. The first thing we need to do is line up our decimal points vertically. We're going to put the first one on top. Okay, you got to get first one on top, no matter what. And then we're going to line up with our decimal points. Now remember last week or again the week before, we talked about putting the decimal point and then working on both sides around it? Yes, sir. Oh, that's next. First we got to do this. Okay, so copy yours. Okay, and no cheating. No trying to put it underneath here. It's way too small. You got it? Okay, don't do that. It's way too small. And I can see why you guys do it, but in this case, it's definitely way too small. Okay, now, step 2 is annex our 0. So they are the same length. Okay, again, you don't really need it when you're adding because your brain can say that's a 0. But when we subtract, it has to be this because we have to borrow. So you better just do it for both, then you don't get all mixed up. Okay, now we add. 0 plus 2 is 2, 3 plus 8 is 11, 1 plus 0 is 0 is 1. And then the last thing we do is drop our decimal point like a rock straight down. And it's 1.12. 1 and 12 hundredths. Okay, make sure those decimal points, I'm seeing some issues with decimal points in both classes. Make sure it's down here at the bottom, not floating, and make sure it's a decimal point and not a comma or a messy point like that because they look like commas. And if there's a comma and not a decimal point, it will be wrong. Question, Jasper? Oh, well, there we go then. We should be good at it, huh? Awesome. We do that in science. And yeah, that's a way you use a lot of decimal numbers is science, definitely. So that's perfect. All right, B. First thing we have to do, copy them vertically. Be careful to make sure you are not switching any numbers. You change its place. Remember, you change its value, and you don't want to do that. Do I need to do any annexing this time? Nope. Nope, I don't. So then I just add normally. Boom, boom, boom. That was pretty easy. I'm going to make some harder ones, but these ones I got from somewhere else, and they are pretty easy.
I just put a period.
Well, that's what they are, same thing, basically. All right, C. Again, this one is pretty simple because they have the same number of digits on each side. The big difference here on this one is when you carry, you still need to make sure you're dropping that decimal like a rock because it goes in there, 10.1. This is like about 7, and that's like about 3. So 7 plus 3 is 10. If you didn't put that decimal point in the right place, you could have issues. Okay, so make sure you're still dropping that decimal point like a rock. And then the last one, make sure you're paying attention because the place values of the front have changed. Again, I recommend that you put that decimal point on the second one and then work outside of it. That way it's always in the right spot. Now you do not have to annex on the front, but if it makes you feel better, you can. But that's just like normal stuff that you've done before. So it doesn't need to be there. The only good point is if it's there, then you can double check and make sure you've lined it up. But it doesn't need to be there. On the other side, on the right-hand side, yes, it has to be there. So that's 11, that's 9, that's 5, and my decimal point drops. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Not so bad. There are a couple of instances where it gets a little more complicated, so we're going to practice them on our whiteboards. So when you have this done, what I want you to do, listen. I want you to take your notes and I want you to fold the page back so that you can see the step-by-step instructions, just in case. And then just kind of put them off to the side and get your whiteboard in front of you. Okay? Remember, we're not drawing on our whiteboards. We are only having them ready for work. Okay? There will be days you can draw and days you can't draw. Question number 1. 24.6 plus 5.983. I am writing it sideways so that you can practice writing it vertically. I want you to do that on your board, and then I want you to check with a neighbor real quick and then wait quietly. Okay, so 24 and 6/10 plus 5 and 983 thousandths. Notice I lined them up by my decimal point. Then I'll annex my zeros. I have 3, 8, 15, 10, 3. Drop like a rock. 30,583. Looks, no? Well, go back. Did you copy it correctly? Did you have it lined up correctly? Like right here? That's okay. I shouldn't have changed your answer. See, now you shouldn't have erased it, so now we can't tell. Bummer. Next time, don't erase, okay? If you got it wrong, don't erase. Let's see if we can figure out what you did. Okay, next one. Let's see, 347.459 plus 3.86. There. 347 and 459 thousandths plus 3 and 86. Extra time with is lining up those numbers because those are where the kids make their mistakes. Okay? Now, we're going to annex our 0 here. Again, if you want to annex your zeros here and here, you can, but you certainly don't need to. Then we're going to add. We have 9, we have 11, we have 13, we have 11, we have 5, we have 3. And we drop our rock, 351 and 319 thousandths. Okay? All right, we're going to do one last problem together, so erase your board. $346 plus 14 and 24 hundredths. Oh, okay. Yep, you're good. You're good. Think about it. Yeah, there's no decimal point here, right? There is one. It's just imaginary because they don't need it. Yes, Christopher's got his lined up. Emma's got hers lined up, right? Basically, when you have a whole number and it doesn't have a decimal point, the decimal point is right here between the ones and where the tenths should be. Because if you think about it, wouldn't the 14 line up right there? Yeah, you are going to run into that. So make sure that you remember, if there's no decimal point, if it's a whole number, great. The decimal point goes after that one, the ones place. So, and then you can annex your zeros. So do not forget that. Do not forget that. Braden, did you leave a pencil that wasn't like broken in that desk? No? No? Okay. Well, I found one in the desk. Okay. So then that's pretty simple. 360.24? Make sure that decimal point is in the right spot. All right. Once you have this done and correct,